everyone. This is Lisa Wozniak with Woz Marketing. We help private practice owners enroll more clients through online marketing strategies. And with us here today is Liz LaJoy. Liz is a financial management consultant and owner of Statera Business Solutions. Liz helps women in consulting, professional services, and coaching take care of their books and make smart financial decisions. Her clients are passionate about what they do, but often feel overwhelmed by the financial management that is essential for a successful business. With their books in order and the understanding of how to manage their finances, they can finally focus on doing the things that they're most passionate about. Thank you so much for being with us today, Liz.
Thanks for having me, Lisa. I'm super excited to be here.
We are thrilled to have you, and I've enjoyed in the past couple of conversations that you and I have had together how you're able to take that overwhelm away from people. There's such a stigma when it comes to finances. You know, even myself from time to time, and I've worked with financial advisors, and when you think about, kind of opening up your books to people, it can be so intimidating and overwhelming. It's like I have this insecurity that I'm going to find out that everything that I've ever been doing has been wrong all along.
Yeah. We bring a lot of emotion to our business, obviously, and our finances are a place where a lot of that kind of hangs out, and we may not realize it. And talking to somebody else about it is very personal. So.
It is, yeah. It's personal and emotional. It can bring out some of your worst insecurities.
Right.
So how did you decide on your specialty niche, Liz?
I started this business my background is in professional service business management. I spent about a decade as a business manager and partner for a local civil engineering firm. And when I was looking to make a change from that, I really wanted to be able to work with clients one-on-one, right? In that position, I was a back-end figure. I was the person that clients would talk to about contracts, and I had to call them to get paid, and that's not always like the best conversation. So I wanted to be able to do something that brought my expertise to people face-to-face so I could work one-on-one with my clients. And the financial management piece of it, as you were saying, is a part that's really hard for a lot of solo business owners or small business owners. Maybe you have one or two employees, and getting all of that in place and making sure that your books are clean and that you're on top of everything can take a lot of your energy, and a lot of people don't really know where to start with it. So I really like helping people strip away some of that discomfort and get them set up on platforms and with a knowledge base that helps them feel more comfortable and confident in managing the financial aspect of their business. Because let's be honest, that's the bottom line for all of us, right? We're in business to help people, of course, but we're also in business to make money. So if we can get comfortable with that process and the management of our cash and all of those good things, the more confident we'll feel about our business.
And one of the things that I really liked when I first met you was the warmth and compassion that you bring to what you do. Oftentimes when you think about a financial manager or an accountant or somebody in that industry, it always feels so cold and impersonal. It's like, oh, the numbers don't lie. And
very analytical. Yes.
Yeah. And I really like the fact that you bring so much warmth and compassion and a desire to sit down with people face to face and show them a better way, and to show them that it doesn't have to be as intimidating as it can often be. So with that in mind, who did you choose as your target market of people to work with?
Yeah. So ideally I work with a lot of women in consulting and professional services and coaching, as you mentioned. And I specifically targeted that market because I think as women, we bring a lot of ourselves to our businesses, men do as well, but particularly there's a lot of discomfort around money. And I also know how much better everyone feels if they can get past that and start to feel really confident as a business owner. I think a lot of us go into business and we want to be doing the things that we love, and we want to be helping clients. And there's a lot of back end stuff that maybe doesn't interest us or seems intimidating. And being able to work with people who sell their brains for a living, right? It's a particular kind of bookkeeping. It's not widgets and it's not a storefront. That's how I got into that piece of it. It's because wanting to work with people who need that leg up, right? They're not ready to hire somebody in-house to be their bookkeeper or their office manager, but they really still need help figuring out that part of their business.
I love that. And yeah, I love how you mentioned, you work with people who sell their brains for a living. I love that. And that the approach for that is different. So keeping that demographic in mind, over time, you must have noticed some sort of a common thread of what their pain points are and what they look like. Can you share that?
Yeah, I think for a lot of my clients, a lot of what I hear right out of the gate is, I don't want to make a mistake. I think there's a lot of concern about doing it wrong. So there's a deer in headlights thing happening. And a lot of people are they'd rather be spending their time working with clients or getting new clients. And the idea of spending time managing their books seems like a waste of time. Right. So it's kind of getting them past that hurdle as well. And I know a lot of people in your client base, from a mental health professional standpoint, huge pain point is just it's hard enough to deal with like an EMR system, much less what does that mean from an accounting standpoint, right? A lot of people have to have dual systems because you might have all of your electronic records and your invoicing happening in one place, but it's not really a full accounting system. So your accountant might put you on QuickBooks Online or something like that. And now you're having to do data entry in multiple places, and it gets really overwhelming.
That's a really good point. I hadn't thought about that. Yeah, that's an important distinction. That's wonderful. So can you share with us specifically how you help your target market? What are some of the specific things that you do to help them?
It really depends on the client. I work very much one-on-one depending on where they're at in their business. So for example, I have a training program that's an 8-week get your books cleaned up, set up on new platforms if you need new platforms to help streamline your activities so that you do have more time to focus on doing what you want to be doing. But then it's also 8 modules of training sessions. I say modules like they're taped, they're actually live. Getting people comfortable with the concept of how do you move from, your initial interaction through invoicing into getting cash in hand. How do you streamline your expenses? How do you know if you're making money? How much can you take out for yourself? What do you need to do about taxes? How do you read a financial statement, right? What does your profit and loss look like? All of those basic small business financial education pieces that can really help you feel much more comfortable in your business and really allow you to strategically plan for the future and so that you can hit your financial goals.
That's so powerful. What I love so much about what you said is that you've got the training on the front end of it. So like in my own particular group of folks that I work with private practice owners. And so for those who would be starting off in private practice or somebody who had a limited budget, that would be incredibly powerful to be able to provide that training for them and giving them the tools that they need to be successful. But then as their practice begins to grow, you also offer the service of being able to take that over and provide done-for-you services so that they can continue to be free to focus on the things that they love the most. In particular, I think about, you had mentioned about budgeting. And we all know that we need to have a budget and that it's going to be important and it'll help us manage our growth, that kind of thing. But the thought of creating a budget for so many people can be really intimidating and overwhelming. It's like, I know I need to have one, but how much money should I be allocating for this? And how much should I be saving for that? And what do I hold back for something else? The fact that you're able to show them right out of the gate how to do that is so powerful.
Yeah, that's one of those things, right? That it's very, it's not a difficult thing to do. And again, I think we have this idea about finance of one of the stories we tell ourselves is, this is supposed to be easy, and a lot, none of, it's not rocket science. It's really not, but none of us are born knowing that necessarily. So the training process and just getting comfortable of, how do I build a budget? How conservative do I want to be? Where's my personal comfort zone? Because some people are very comfortable being very, they don't need to be as conservative because their comfort level doesn't require it. And some people want to be, as minimal on the income side and as maximum on the expense side as possible, and know that if they have gravy left over, then that's all good, but they feel better having a conservative budget. So working with people at their level where they're comfortable is really important for me, because I feel like that's how my clients get the most out of the experience.
Oh, I can imagine. With that in mind, what kind of an impact has the work that you've done with your clients had on them and their businesses? I mean, what does that look like for them?
This is the best question, right? Because we all like to feel like our work with our clients is, positive and we've made an impact for them. So this is always a fun question. The story that comes to mind is a client who has been in business for over a decade, and really just didn't have a sense of where her numbers were. She thought she was doing okay, but she would literally stand in the grocery line and make a transfer from her business account to her personal account to cover the grocery bill, like at the same time, because she didn't know how much she could take out. And she was really afraid to look at her numbers because she told me, I don't want to find out that all of this stuff that I've been doing, my blood, sweat, and tears that I poured into this business, were for naught, and it's actually failing. She was afraid to look because she was afraid to find out something bad. And the reality is we got her set up on systems and trained up on being able to recognize what was happening and read all of her reports. And now she knows that she's really successful. And we developed a platform for her to, she knows exactly how much she can draw down every month. And all of that stress is just gone. And she's so excited, much more excited about her business than she was before, because she knows her numbers.
That's so funny. I mean, at the top of the interview, we had talked about how we're afraid to look at those numbers because, we're afraid of what we're going to find out, that, we put ourselves in a vulnerable position, and our worst fear is our failure.
Right.
And it's so funny because it's all a mindset. The exact opposite is true. I mean, when you go ahead and deep dive into those numbers and take a look at everything, you could be finding out that you're incredibly successful, not a failure.
Right.
It's just the mindset. Oh, I love that.
Money is just a tool, right? It's not good, it's not bad, but we like to put this sort of positive, negative spin on it depending on where we're at. And if you do approach it head on and deep dive, as you say, even if things aren't great, at least then you can develop a plan to get to where you want to be. Whereas if you're not looking at it, you never really know. And it just kind of hangs over your head, which doesn't let you feel free. It doesn't really free you up to focus on really what you want to be doing or growing your business the way you want to.
Absolutely. Yeah. It does more harm than good, not knowing.
Yeah.
Right.
That's my feeling.
So if you could give people only one piece of advice with regard to finances, what would that be?
Oh, I think it would be to look at it regularly. I always recommend to my clients that they carve out a certain time of the week, even if it's just half an hour, to go through the accounting that's happened in their business in that week, whether that's, tracking invoices, making sure everything's gone out, double checking that they don't need to call people to get paid, anything like that. Because once you start looking at things regularly, you can start to see trends. And when you start seeing trends, then you can make adjustments that work better for you. So for example, you may not recognize that all of your cash is actually coming in and hitting your account, say at the beginning of the month, which means you're feeling strapped by the end of the month. Okay. So maybe there are a few ways that once you recognize that by looking at it regularly, you can start making adjustments that even out your cash flow, for example. It's also a great way to keep from having to spend an entire weekend pulling all your financial documents together at this time of year so you can give it to your accountant, right? Because that's no fun for anyone. So that would be the one thing I would recommend, is to not be afraid to start looking at it regularly. And the more you do, the less scary it seems.
Yeah, that's good advice. The biggest thing that I heard coming out of that is that it helps you regain power and control.
Absolutely.
So, Liz, what's your favorite quote?
My favorite quote. You have me on the hook here because now I'm not going to remember what I told you earlier. I actually don't have that in front of me right now. I'm sorry.
I think that you had something by Eleanor Roosevelt, right?
Oh, yeah. Can you read it back to me? I don't have it in front of me right now. But it was
okay. It says, one's philosophy is not best expressed in words. It's expressed in the choices one makes And the choices are ultimately our responsibility. And then you talk about why you think that's your favorite quote, or why you know that's your favorite quote.
Yeah, this came up. I'm in the middle of a book project, and this quote came up as part of that. And I like this a lot because I think, so often we fall into a place in life where things start to feel like they're just happening to us, especially when we're growing a new business and there's so much going on, right? But the reality is life is only, we choose our reality in a lot of ways, and that's true in finance as well. And so if we can go into it with our eyes open, knowing what we want to get out of it, we can really take things to the next level.
That's powerful. Yeah, I like that. That's really good. Now, we are just about out of time, but I wanted to make sure that we leave enough time for you to talk about, you have some amazing gifts for our viewers, and I want to make sure that they know how to get a hold of them and how they can get a hold of you so that they can regain control and power in their private practice. Can you talk about that?
Yeah. So I would love to talk to anybody who wants to connect. You can find me on LinkedIn under Liz LaJoy. I'm also on Facebook. And for the great gifts, if you go to my website, which is statera.business.com, that's STATERA business.com, right on the homepage, you can grab a free audit for 5 bookkeeping mistakes that might be losing you money. And I also have a really easy to read bookkeeping checklist that you can also get on that front page that lets you, you can print it out, you can look it on your screen, and it gives you a little cheat sheet for, what kinds of things you want to be looking at weekly in your books, what kinds of things you want to be looking at monthly, quarterly, annually. It's just a nice little thing to stick up on your corkboard and keep track of what you need to be paying attention to, because if you have that, then you don't have to worry if you're missing something.
Those are 2 incredibly generous gifts. Oh my gosh. I mean, I think that anybody in business or private practice would want to regain that control that you talked about. That's so important in eliminating that overwhelm and the intimidation and knowing where you stand so that you can begin to make decisions for your growth. So I thank you for those incredible gifts. Wanted to let everyone know that's Liz LaJoy, LaJoie. You can find her on LinkedIn or on Facebook. And her website, again, is Statera, STATERA business.com. Thank you so much, Liz, for taking the time to be here with us today. It's really been a pleasure.
You too. Thanks for having me.
Okay, well, we're going to go ahead and wrap up today, and just wanted to remind all of you to go and get those free gifts from Liz and take a moment to take control of your finances. And this is Lisa Wozniak with Woz Marketing, helping you navigate your yellow brick road.